Here we go, back up to a restart. Quickly, let's go over the overtime rules. We're about to go back green, but we get 2 laps, a green lap, a white lap, and then checkered. If the green lap is completed, the race is official. If the green lap is not completed, we re-rack and restart, and we do it all over again. After all 3 attempts are used, a caution can end the race. Here we go, green flag back in the air. We are racing again here at California. Already contact there with Joe Lawrence. He's trying to hang on. He pedals the car, but it holds up. No rainwater. Out front is Vicente Salas, and it is Lane Riggs.
A heck of a save by Joe Lawrence as they are single file. Riggs and Salas duking it out, trying to do what they can to fight each other for this win. Riggs is trying to find a way around on the top side, but as they come around, it's going to be white flag in the air, presented by Whiplash Sim Cams. We are going to make this race official, and we're going to finish it on my favorite number. White flag is in the air. Riggs underneath Salas for the lead.
For the lead and the win here at Auto Club Speedway, Lane Riggs finally gets down to the inside of Vicente Salas through turns 1 and 2. Can he hold on to it? Side by side still down the back straightaway.
Riggs is going to do everything he can, but he's by himself. He's not going to have the drafting help as Slow is up top, trying to decide who he's going to push. The nose in front goes to Riggs. Slow goes to the bottom.
Big send from Slow. He's going to move up the racetrack now. Brandon Slow driving Lane Riggs to the wall. It's going to be a straight-up drag race down to the stripe. Who's going to get there first? It's going to be... I don't know. Vicente Salas, I think, has done it again.
What a finish!
Wow!
What a run to the end by these drivers. Officially, Salas gets it, and Slow and Riggs tie 17 1/100ths of a second, 17 1,000ths of a second behind Salas.
It's been about 6 weeks since the North American Racing League pros have hit the track all together in a race format, but we have finally made it through this impromptu spring break. While the AM drivers got to play at Watkins Glen last week, we get back to the originally scheduled programming at Suzuka tonight, and we could not be more excited. Welcome to Pit Stop TV and the virtual Suzuka Japan. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV with Blue Carl alongside this evening, and it's a pleasure to join you for continuing coverage of the North American Racing League GT3 Season number 9. Tonight's coverage from Japan is brought to you by Muradness, by JS Consulting, and by Screw Compressor Service Incorporated. And Blue, I know you are brand new to all these drivers. Your name might be Blue, but you're green to this league, to these drivers, learning all of them as we go. But there are some really high-profile guys, a lot of really fast guys, and this racetrack fits right in a lot of their wheelhouses, especially the pro drivers in this series. They know it, they love it, they run here often. Suzuka Circuit, gonna be fun.
It's one of my favorite tracks as well. I love this no matter the car I'm driving in. Super GT car, GT3 car, Formula car, who cares? But all that I know is that this track's one of the most fun with turn 1 and turn 2. Very fast sweeping corners there coming into the yeses, which is the area from 3 to 7, which then goes into Dunlop. Very fast part of the track, but very slow at the same time, very technical. You might see a pass or two here, not very likely. Same with the Degners coming up 8 and 9. And then you get down to 10 and 11, you'll see this is the first big passing zone that you'll see coming through the hairpin. Then 200R, nice big long straight. Though it says turn 12, it's more like a little kink. It's just like at the Red Bull Ring with turn 2 and turn 1. It's a funny thing like that. Spoon, another very long sweeping left-hander, taking up corners 13 and 14. I think it's potentially one of the most classic corners on this track at 15 with 130R, very fast sweeping left-hander. And then 16, 17, and 18 is the final portion of the track. Another really heavy braking zone, trying to get all the speed you can coming out of turn 18 to go back down into turn 1, just to repeat the whole process over and over again until we can declare a winner.
It is a very clustered track map, but certainly once we get to racing, big passing zones, as you touched on there. Turn 1, once we are racing, not really off the start, but once we're racing, turn 1 will be a place to make some dives. Certainly, you can try on the Degners, it's not advised. You can certainly make some passes over there on the hairpin, and even into 130R and Casio Triangle if you set things up just right. It is one of those tracks where you can end up in kind of a follow the leader kind of formation, but time will tell. These pros in the GT3 cars for the North American Racing League typically keep things a little more exciting than that. But here we go. Here's a look at the point standings coming into the evening. And of course, we have been away from pro racing since all the way back on February 26th was the last time these guys raced in this league. So it's been a while, but there you see Dino Filippo on top. There is now one drop week figured in, but it's after 4 races of 8, so we're right halfway through the season. And certainly Dino Filippo, Juan Blanat, Ralph Benitez, I mean, even Jackson Rosende, Roman Pascucci with the performance he had at Mexico. Those are kind of the guys we're watching. I think Daniel Pastor is right on the cusp of still being in championship contention. I think it is danger zone and red lights on. You need to hit the gas pedal now territory for Marco Saavedra and Nicolas Rubelar. They've each been fast, each have speed every single time these guys race, but they're just a little too far back right now. And, you know, for as fast as they are, we know that 6 of the guys that are ahead of them are just as fast or faster. So it's very, what's the word? The only word I can think of is constipated, but I don't want to call the standings constipated. It's the only word I can think of, though. Congested. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. My whole family is sick this week. I should have come up with congested a lot sooner. But yes, congested there at the top of Pro. And then if we look down at Pro-Am, rather, you see it's kind of the same story, actually. Just a few less drivers, maybe. Noel Marone certainly very close with Blas Diaz, 3 points apart there. Paulo Godai reigning champion, he's just 14 back. Miguel Colon, he's a little farther back. He's been picking things up, though. He's in the neighborhood. And Francesco Antonicelli, the Italian, he got a win back at Mexico City so many weeks ago. He is one to watch still. He could have a late season thing happening here. I think if you're behind 5th right now, you're probably too far out. It's harder to make those points up when you are down in the Pro-Am side, because something that we should touch on here, Blue, since you are green to this series, These guys all earn points on the racetrack per their finishing position, one after another. Whether you're pro or pro-am, it does not matter. You get the same points paid out, but then you get split down into your different classes. So you very well could be racing, if you're a pro-am, you could be racing a pro for a points position here in the back end of the season very, very easily, and it happens a lot. So these guys certainly have their work made out for them here this evening. Let's touch on the schedule here quickly before we wrap up pre-race and get into qualifying, and here you go. It's the same thing we've been looking at, just with Watkins Glen slotted down at the end now at May 28th. So there will again be another break coming up for these guys in May, while they're all doing all their IndyCar festivities and running the iRacing Indy 500 and that sort of thing. A little bit of time off, and then we go back and finish the season up at Watkins Glen.
Hey, I just gotta say, I'm a big fan of this track list here. I mean, these are all absolutely classics. I went back and watched some of the races previously, all classic races, and I think, including this one, there's only classic ones coming up ahead.
Yeah, I really think the only one or two that you might have to swap out for this to be a little more on brand as the major racetracks across the world. I think you could swap out Indy for Daytona, and maybe swap out either Mexico or Austria for Le Mans. Otherwise, you are hitting some of the most famous racetracks in the world. And certainly as we get some more of the Formula One tracks like Bahrain on the service here soon, maybe we could swap some of those in, but this is still, I mean, this is almost a world tour of, you know, the best tracks in motorsport. So a very, very cool lineup here this season. Let's get into it though. Qualifying is well underway. Drivers are making their laps around the racetrack, and let's go ahead and get out of the B-roll as well and take a look at these guys around the racetrack. Daniel Antunes certainly catching some eyes already here in the number 3. And, you know, we'll talk about some car specs in a little bit. We broke that graphic out at Watkins Glen a week ago, but what we can do at the very least while these guys are getting their qualifying laps going is kind of take index once again of who's in what car. You saw Antunes there in the Ford Mustang. Here is Marco Saavedra out there in an Aston Martin Vantage, and Nicholas Matteo also in an Aston Martin. Roman Pascucci also in an Aston Martin. You might start to notice a theme here. There's a lot of Astons out there, a good number still of Mustangs, and even a fair amount of Mercedes. It's the front engine revolution these days in GT3 on iRacing.
And these front engine cars, I mean, at a track like this, the weight being in the front really helps those tires grip up. And like I said earlier, it's going to help massively through the S's. It's going to help pretty good through 130R. I think these front engines are just simply the right choice. As much as I enjoy myself a mid-engine car like the Corvette or the McLaren, I can't blame them for picking a front engine.
And it's crazy to me because just a couple of seasons ago, I think even most recent season, season number 8 of GT3 racing, the meta was to go for the McLaren. And in the months that followed between season 8 and season 9, it switched from McLaren to, and even maybe a couple of other, the Acura maybe. I think the Acura was run by a few teams. It all switched over to straight up Aston Martin or Ford Mustang, some Mercedes, depending on who you are and if you can wheel it. And I mean, the Porsche has fallen off. The Ferrari isn't even that competitive. It's crazy how often things change. And here, by the way, is the longest name I think we've ever had on Pit Stop TV. Glad to have him here in the series, but this is a doozy for sure. Igor Foguete. We're going to shorten it a little bit in the number 02. He is new to the series, rather, in the number 02. 5th so far in qualifying, so keep an eye out for the 02 today as Roman Pascucci chases him down. And there you see the gap, by the way, bottom right from Pascucci up to pole position. 7/10 right there for Roman, and for Ricardo Rico, it's not much different as he is out there in his Mercedes AMG GT3. See, I told you there were some Mercedes here.
Hey, there one is. And I mean, beautiful cars.
And there's a Ford Mustang for Francesco. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I wanted to mention, I noticed this earlier too. Through 130R they like to get on the grass just a little bit. I find that quite fun, and I might need to go try it out now.
Yeah, you will find these pro guys blurring the lines and breaking the limits for sure all the time. A lot of times coming in. We just saw Juan Blainac go to the top. Now Marco Saavedra goes to the top. And recently, Thiago Moya, we saw him very briefly. He went to the top of Pro-Am. So the times are rolling in very quickly. We just saw Francesco Antonelli in pole position in Pro-Am. Then Blas Diaz went faster. Then Thiago Moya went faster. So we are getting a conveyor belt of times rolling in. Paulo Goday just went a whole bunch faster. He He's into the top 15 now in qualifying, and we still have some heavy hitters out there. Daniel Antunes still does not have a lap complete. He has not been able to get a clean lap in just yet. Neither has Lucas Souza nor Avery Hart. So a lot of drivers still trying to find their way around, and certainly one of the top Pro-Am drivers right now, Noel Marone, he still does not have a lap in. He is on lap number 1 of his run. Let's see if he can get one in, as Miguel Colon does complete a lap finally. It does not count, though. There was an off-track in there somewhere.
I mean, just going through qualifying at a track like this,
it's tough.
It hurts to get through and have a really good lap and then just barely hit the track limits and get dinged for it. And there goes that beautiful lap you had.
Antunes third in car number 3. He's got another lap in the bank, as does Saavedra, Blanat, Mateo, and everybody else so far. Nobody into extra laps just yet. And I mean, oh, Saavedra blanked there for a second. That's okay. That's all right. We can keep working with that. Blanat, same area of the course. There is a lot of racetrack to cover. That's the big deal here. There's a lot of racetrack to cover, and the lines, the racetrack really is not that wide here at Suzuka. It's pretty narrow. It's about like driving up Mount Fuji. It's pretty tight.
It's quite deceiving, I gotta say, because you look at it and you think, oh, I could fit 4 cars there, and you realize, no, you can't. Not really. You can barely fit 3 in some spots.
Marco Saavedra now even faster here in qualifying. But yeah, you know, the only wide place on the racetrack feels like the front stretch.
It really does. The second you get off that front stretch, I mean, you can barely fit 2 wide through the S's. Very much less without keeping pace. You're going to lose a lot of time going through like that as we get on board here with the 28.
Yeah, here's Noel Marone. We'll take a look at power rankings here shortly, but Noel, boy, he has been lighting things up in Pro-Am. Let's see what he can do here in qualifying across the stripe to complete his first timed lap. It's going to be a 1:57.410, 17th overall, 5th in class. Not bad, and that's the lap that's going to have to count. He's not got enough time to set another lap here today, so, and that one's not going to be good anyway. So Noel will be mired down close to 20th. Even Miguel Colon just finally set a lap time in his Ford Mustang, and Miguel down in 18th. So a couple of the heavier hitting Pro-Am drivers deep in the field. Francesco Antonelli also kind of deep down there. We also have more pros here tonight than we had at Mexico City and even a few other rounds this season. So these Pro-Ams, they've been getting spoiled lately with having fewer pros on the racetrack. Tonight, not the case at all. A lot of the pros are back out of the woodworks, and they are all at the top of the field. I mean, the top 10 is all pros here as Antonelli tries to set a faster lap. Let's see if he can do it. The answer is no. But all the pros are stacked up top. There's 10 at the top, and then 1 in 12th and 1 in 14th. Those are Ralph Benitez and Jackson Resende, respectively. Also, here's a look at Jose Sarra, new to the series, in that number 505. He will start 26th, it looks like. So, qualifying expiring. We can take a look then at our power rankings coming into the evening. And I know there's a lot to go over here, Blue, but you could just kind of marvel, I suppose, at who is fastest and maybe highest up on this power ranking list. Juan Blanat certainly has been breaking some barriers lately. Dino Filippa has been great this season as well, but just as of late, it's been a little shakier there for Dino. Juan a little more consistent, I suppose. And third and fourth, they have been very steady in those spots as well. Ralph Benitez and Nicholas Rubilar. I think the big highlights are the blue numbers. Noel Marone, Blas Diaz, and Paulo Goday in a field dominated by the pro drivers. They are in the top 10 in power rankings and doing a great job.
I mean, being in the top 10, I'm assuming this is top 10 fastest in the league here.
More or less. So this doesn't go off of lap time. This goes off of a metric. There's a formula, a whole spreadsheet that makes this work. But it is stat driven. It's 90% or more off of stats. There's a little bit of human influence, but very little.
I mean, being in the top 10 with Pro-Am, I mean, you might still get moved up to Pro, I would think, but what do I know? I don't run the league.
They would not like that. Scott, I tell you what, Scott Ricer will bump anybody up in an instant, but the drivers would not be very happy with that. I mean, there is a big separation this season. A lot of the pro guys have some crazy I ratings, as you've seen even today, and these Pro-Am guys, they're fast in their own right, but I think they've got maybe a little bit longer to go before they mix it up with the pro guys proper. But let's take a look through your starting grid this evening. And boy, on pole, we've got some driver photos we don't have for others. Drivers, this is the the note to you now. If you want to get a driver photo sent in, send it in. You'll see a lot of defaults tonight. Anyways, Marco Saavedra will roll off on pole in an Aston Martin alongside Nicolas Mateo out of Argentina and Spain. Back in row 2, same countries, different cars. Juan Blena in an Aston, but you see Daniel Antunes in a Ford Mustang. Back in row number 3, Ricardo Rico in a Mercedes alongside Roman Pascucci in an Aston Martin. Then it's Nicolas Rubilar out of Chile there in 7th, Dino Filippa in 8th, and to complete your top 10, Igor Foguete and Victor Miranda. Back in position number 11, Thiago Moya in the number 93. That is your pole sitter in Pro-Am today. Ralph Benitez rolls off from 12th. Then it's Blas Diaz and Jackson Rosende. Further back, you'll find Francesco Antonelli out of Italy alongside Paolo Gaddai. Back in row number 9, Noah Marone alongside Miguel Colon. And it's Hector Alvarez alongside Scott Reister back in row 10. Outside your top 20 today, Jacob Stofko in the number 34 car out of Canada alongside Chris Winstone. They are both in Ford Mustangs. And then Jose Ramirez in a Lamborghini alongside a Chevrolet Corvette in Ricardo Delgado, both drivers out of Puerto Rico. Back in row number 13, it is Lucas Souza alongside Jose Sara. And your final few drivers here in your top 30, Diego Era, Andy Ray Miller, Angel Ledesma, and William Oro Silva. The very back of the field, Marcos Franco in a McLaren, Avery Hart in a Porsche, then Icaro Piccolo in a Ford Mustang, Edgar Ruiz in a Ford, and that is it. 34 cars here today, ready to go racing. Quick look at Whiplash SimCam's race details. 20-minute sprint race on deck. That's what's coming up first. That will set the field for the 40-minute feature race. We will invert the top 8 between the two races. That's an overall invert, not a class invert. We do have fixed setups, 45% fuel. We will not see a pit stop here in the sprint race. We will see a pit stop in the feature, though. Here we go. Down the hill and to the start line at Suzuka Circuit. Trying to get this show on the road. The North American Racing League pros of GT3 are racing at Suzuka. Already problems. I see one car out. I think that's Antonelli. It is. And another car around in turns 1 and 2. That, I believe, is Jackson Rosende. We stay with the leaders, though. It was actually Antunes in turns 1 and 2. He continues on, gets back in line.
Sliding out like that, it's so easy to do coming through those turns. That slight incline. It makes it really easy to get on the brakes and just misjudge it a little, get the car a little bit too loose, especially on a fixed setup like these guys are driving. I mean, I applaud them for driving it.
See the Triangle Racing Mercedes up to 4th. That's Ricardo Rico. He's made good on this start already. 3 Astons ahead and a couple of Astons right behind. Oh, a big dive there to the inside from Nicolas Rubilar. He was looking down low. I see another car in trouble. That's Lucas Souza towards the back. We stay racing out front. Of course, we won't see a caution flag here in this series. But boy, I'm sure some drivers were wishing we would as we get around to Spoon Curve for the first time here in a racing format. I mean, take a look at kind of where these guys are at here on lap 1. There is a battle here. Nicolas Mateo, I haven't seen him much this season, but he is on the back bumper of second place, Juan Blena.
He's either going to line it up here coming out of 130R trying to get into turn 14, or he's going to wait till the straight. Either way, beautiful idea.
A blink there out of Saavedra. Side by side for second. Up the inside goes Blena. I don't think that was intentional. I think that happened with the blink from his teammate, and now I think he's got damage. Blena, his nose is smashed in. It's falling off the race car.
That looks like his front bumper just got the wheels a little out. That is not a good, healthy looking race car.
It's falling off the car, and that's dragging him back. He's got big problems, does Juan Blena. Big issue for car 89. The bumper still dragging him further and further back, slowing him down. Oh my goodness, the Argentinian has got to be so frustrated. Just in the situation, that was his teammate ahead, and obviously his teammate can't control the blink, but that's got to be really difficult to deal with. And now Victor Miranda, Nicolas Rubilar side by side. Low, watch out through the S's. There's the bumper off of the 89 car, as now these guys give a bumper themselves.
See, this is what time you'll see a little bit of side by side as we see here with these two, but not too much. Honestly, single file through the S's.
You see ahead, Juan Blanat with that black front end, no front bumper on it. Now Dino Filippa, big move here on Ricardo Rico. That is for the third position, rather. I thought it was for fourth. No, it's third and fourth. Ricardo Rico gives him a door. Filippa falls back now. 3 teammates lined up behind the 51, and you see the flash there from Dino Filippa. He's not too happy. Still
didn't
flashing.
like that move. He really must have not liked that move. He's trying to distract him here coming through Spoon. Making sure he knows just how unhappy he is. Let's hope that's the only way he shows him how unhappy he is here.
Yeah, Dino Filippa's a former, I think still current steward actually in the AM division, racing here in pros, so he knows the rules pretty well. I think he'll steer clear of that. But you know what? These guys have been super aggressive all season. We've seen Dino actually get a penalty or two this season just for some other contact in other races. I believe Spa was one that was big there. As Juan Blanat's got trouble to the inside. That is the 53 of Victor Miranda. We have got pro battles all over. To touch on Pro-Am quickly, that is Thiago Moya currently leading the way in the number 93. There he is in a red, white, and black number 93 Ford Mustang. He's just ahead of teammate Jackson Rossetti. At least I believe they're teammates. Very similar livery, if not. But he's got 2 cars back to Blas Diaz. That is the 55. That is the next car in line in Pro-Am. The next car behind him is a teammate to Blas. That is Paulo Goday, reigning champion. And then it's Hector Alvarez beginning the train of Pro-Ams behind us. Look at this. Scott Reiser going wheel to wheel, door to door with Noel Marone up the racetrack. This is good too back here.
And I always have said, don't judge a racing league by the leaders, judge it by the mid-pack, and this mid-pack's providing quite the battle to watch here.
This is really fantastic stuff. Noel Marone, though, in that silver Mustang, he has been kind of the default best guy in Pro-Am lately. He's falling back. He's down in 7th in class right now behind Jose Ramirez. We have a battle for the race lead. Marco Saavedra and Nicolas Mateo. They swap spots briefly in the hairpin. Here they are back in lockstep formation. Saavedra with the point for now, but how much longer can he hold on?
I don't think it's going to be long. It's just a little wide.
Oh!
Inside the rest. Spoon blinks out. Blinks back in. Saves some contact there. Gets back in the slipstream behind.
The blinking is not helping these guys, but it is making entertaining TV, I suppose. Here we go, back down to 130R. Real tight racing line there. They get through tidily into the Casio Triangle. This could be a little sketchy. And you see the defensive line there from Saavedra. Ricardo Rico has caught up. Dino Filippa not far behind. Oh boy, we're in for a treat here today.
And slipstream again, potentially going to look for a dive down into turn 1. If he may also hold it and save it for hairpin though.
Oh, a big look to the inside from Mateo. He's going to take the inside lane there through turns 1 and 2. Big move for the race lead on just lap number 4. But this sprint race, it happens quick. Contact there. Into the S as we go.
Oh, bumper. Small little door-to-door contact. Not much bumps him out. Still side by side. P3 looking to be taken by his teammate.
There is racing all over the racetrack. It is a fantastic day for racing here as well. If we look at the weather conditions brought to you by MX Wraps, 65 in the air, 70 on track. Decent humidity. It's a little more humid than you might expect, but it is a fantastic virtual day for racing. These guys are wheel to wheel, mirror to mirror, bumper to bumper, wing to splitter racing. As we just had a brief incident with Scott Reister and some others. Reister still continuing on, but he is now down into the 6th spot. And Ralph Benitez has fallen back to 22nd. Here's a quick look at him in his Mercedes AMG. 12th in class, but 22nd overall. Whoa, big issues!
Oh.
Ramirez turned around in the Lamborghini. That's an impossible position to be in. Finally finds a gap there. That'll put him behind Icaro Piccolo. The only car behind him now is Lucas Souza. It's been crazy at the front. We can't leave these guys yet. And look at this. Pass for the lead has been made officially. And he's been able to hold it. Nicolas Mateo, he's started a gap. 25 car even. So, honestly, I did not expect this. Nicolas Mateo, we haven't seen much. I don't think any of him yet in this season. Here he is now able to show up for Suzuka and hopefully the back end of the season. I'm sure he had something going on earlier in the year, but Boy, he has completely thrown things on its head, and he doesn't have to worry about points. He doesn't have to worry about anything. He's just here to race, and I kind of like that.
I mean, he's got nothing to lose other than a race car, so might as well put the race car. Or
he doesn't have to pay for it
and drive it. That's true. That is true.
On board here with Igor Foguete. This is down in 8th and 9th. He's right behind Juan Blanat in blue. I mean, this is just disaster for Juan. I guess the shining moment here for him is if he can hang on to this spot. It's silver lining, that's what I was looking for. If he can hang on to this spot, it would be good for the invert into our feature, but it's going to be difficult to do so as Jackson Resende's got trouble. He's out wide in the S's. Watch the rejoin. My goodness.
Ooh.
Those guys will not be happy with that. 3 wide we go into the Degners. Are you serious? Wow.
3 wide. Still 2 wide behind him.
Oh, watch out. What a save out of Delgado.
Such chaos going through Degner there. 3 wide again. You see my McLaren making it through. Still 2 wide coming down into hairpin. Pushes him a little bit onto the grass. Oh, that's trouble.
That was Marcos Franco out wide into the hairpin. That was a lot. Let's go back and get a replay of that. I'm trying to conserve the replays. I know it can take up a lot of the race here, but this I think is plenty worth it. Let's even go back a little bit farther. Remember, this starts with Jackson Resende in the 96. Here he is racing with Blas Diaz in the 55, and we'll see if maybe there was any contact to start this off. Oh, there certainly was.
Oh.
I think Jackson maybe burnt his tires up slightly and mismanaged that entry, and Blas just barely hit him. But then this rejoin, this is, oh, well, the land is in the way. Let's get a better view of that, but that rejoin set all of this off. Here from overhead, you'll see the shot here from Blas Diaz in just a moment. Right about here, the car is unloading. Yeah, that's a really unfortunate spot for contact if you're Jackson Resende. But this rejoin, that's not ideal. Back on the racing line with cars approaching, and it sets all of this up. That's the 34 to the left side. That is Jacob Stofko. Ricardo Delgado on the inside in the Corvette. And they, I mean, wow. There's almost too much to figure out.
I mean, it's just chaos. I could spend 10, 30 minutes just looking at that, trying to break it all down.
And Resende got away from it okay. He nearly got wiped out by that McLaren, Marcos Franco. Let's get a look at that now. That was maybe a Murtis mega miss, possibly. Trying to find Franco. Let me. He hasn't run many races. Here he is. I got his number finally. Marcos Franco, the McLaren, right side of the racetrack. Driver's right, anyways. Contact there with Noel Moron, and he went straight off. That is definitely a Murtis mega miss. We'll get the graphic in a second, but Murtis mega miss for Resende. I want to see this though between Moron and Winstone. Moron with the drift and save there in the Degners. Winstone up the inside. I don't think Moron appreciated that because he gave a door back to him. Tried to squeeze him over. They're 3 wide. You can't do all that. And then Moron here minding his own business, and Franco just came over too far, and that's just the way it goes.
Just gives him a little clip, and well, that's history for his race.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And here is Jackson Resende. Let's run that graphic now from Murtis Esports, the Murtis Mega Miss in every Pit Stop TV broadcast brought to you by Murtis Esports. And that certainly constituted as one to me, as we've got a problem now for Juan Blanat. Look at this. Oh. That was not a mega miss. That was a mega hit. That's a modified. That's a NASCAR modified right there. 8 minutes to go.
Good. We're changing the series.
Yeah. Juan Blanat in a lot of trouble. Blas Diaz is the other car involved. Let's see. Oh man, no front bumper, no front splitter, no hood. I mean, there's nothing on the front of that car, just the front tires at this point, and yeah, that's not ideal for Juan Blanat. Let's see what happened back there in the Casio Triangle that time through. It seems like it got a little spicy here as well. So this is the 0-2 Igor Foguete. We've not seen him run a race yet. Keep that in mind, as Juan Blanat's going for the championship. Oh. Oh boy.
Oh. It hurts.
Yeah, it does.
That hurts to see.
I'm going to be honest, given the context, again, of Juan Blanat trying to fight for the championship this season, I guess, keep me in check here, Blue, if this is a little too harsh, but I think that needs to be a penalty for the 0-2. That was super aggressive, missed the corner, was never going to work, and then on the curbing, washed out. I mean, you had to go way too deep to make it, and then you were on the curbing and you wrecked the guy.
I mean, if it was just an isolated incident there wasn't any contact coming out of it and he just overlunged it, I would don't leave it with a warning, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a pretty harsh penalty come in it, though, too, there.
Okay, I mean, you got to keep aware of the fact that you are new to the series. You just came in 4 races into an 8-race season, and you're wiping out one of the championship contenders. That is unfortunate for Juan, a massive hit for Blas Diaz. He's out for the sprint race now. Thankfully, we have the feature race coming up, but that was really, really egregious, and I hope it at least gets very deeply looked at and talked about with race control. And sure enough, look at this penalty for the 0-2 car. He is in the pit lane now, serving that pass through. I think that is very much the right call by race control.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. That whole string was caused by him. And I mean, I get it. You see the opportunity to make a pass, and the car in front of you is damaged, and it's slowing you down. But sometimes you gotta remember that you just need to give it a minute. You'll get alongside eventually, especially against a car that doesn't have the right amount of aero.
Well, you need to have respect, right? And I mean, nothing against Igor, but frankly, Juan is here for the championship. Igor hasn't raced at all yet this season. You just got to respect the guy and the battle he's in. Sure, you want to go fast, you want to get all you can get, but you've got to be respectful and make those passes cleanly. And that wasn't. And I think Igor will have a chance to reflect on that, hopefully between races, and see what he could have done differently and do it right the next time. That's part of living life, frankly. As a human on this earth, on this rock, we know it's just, that's part of life. Well, 5 minutes to go here in the sprint race. We are anticipating 11 total laps of racing here in this 20-minute race, and that would put us at 3 to go the next time by the flag stand. We'll see if that's true or not. Nicholas Mateo lighting things up here in Pro, and that's the other thing about Pro and having respect amongst your competitors. These guys race each other all across iRacing. They see each other a lot in sports car type leagues like this, but also just in iRacing officials, whether it's sports cars, open wheel cars, whatever, at the top echelon of road racing and iRacing. If we look back at the iRatings of these guys like we had on the grid graphic a little while ago, let's see, for Mateo, 11,000. For Saavedra, 9,200. For Ricardo Rico, 9,600. 10,065 here for Dino Filippa. For Roman Pascucci, it's 9,600. These are pretty insane numbers these guys are putting up in iRatings. They're going to see each other again. You want to make sure you're respectful, as this has gone very, very poorly for Francesco Antonelli. Oh boy.
Antonelli coming into the pits, looks like left rear tire out of the angle here. Let's see what we got.
This is Igor Forguete again, racing with Antonelli here. This is the Casio triangle, and Antonelli a little bit loose, and then Forguete gets him, and wow!
Just didn't pick up the amount of speed that he thought he was going to get. I wouldn't be surprised to see another penalty come out there, though I do feel like it's ultimately a racing incident, but that's just me. Let's get another look at it here.
Yeah, this might be a little more racing incident, but that was really erratic through 130R into the braking zone for the Casio triangle, and again, man, you just don't need to force that issue.
He just drives into him.
You don't need to force that issue. It's a few minutes to go. You've already had one penalty. I understand the if gap car thing, the play on Ayrton Senna's famous quote, but let's face it, we aren't Ayrton Senna.
Well, I have some news about that. I don't know if you knew. Did you know that quote was just an excuse for Ayrton Senna intentionally wrecking his championship opponent?
I mean,
that's something I learned just recently.
That certainly.
So anytime I hear it, I get to have a little laugh.
Muddies the waters a bit. Yeah, I think Francesco was serving a slowdown, so that's why it was erratic into the corner. So exonerate Igor there, I guess, but then off the corner, I mean, there's still a car, and, I mean, he's a Pro-Am, you're a pro. Just have a little patience. Again, you've come in 4 races late, and that's fine. That's okay. You can still race, but these guys still have their championship battles they've been working on all season, and to mess any of that up unnecessarily, I think, is just a sore situation in general. I think in a vacuum, you can probably say each one of those incidents for Igor probably could be racing incident, but when you look at it in the fact that he joined 4 races late, and again, that's okay, you just need to be a little more lenient and respectful until you learn these guys.
I mean, even out of it, coming from my own experience stewarding, I think I'd give that a penalty still. There wasn't space for him to try to get alongside there. The car was still clearly slow. And sure, it's quote-unquote multi-class, but you guys are ultimately GT3s. He doesn't need to get out of your way. You need to make the move yourself as the passing car. A
problem now for Scott Reister. It seems he is on the way out of the session, possibly a loss of connection. Unsure there. You might be able to tell me, actually, if you're in the session. But he has gone down the order, and his name is grayed out as... Oh boy, we got some racing here. Avery Hart, Igor again, William Oro Silva. A lot of great racing here in the middle of the pack, as well as here with Jose Sara and Miguel Colon, then Noel Marone and Angel Ledesma literally directly in front of them. I mean, we have great racing all over, and here we go. Officially, we will go one more lap. Here's the fight. Where's Barney? He is sleeping on a job or something. But there is the white flag brought to you by Whiplash Simcams here for our sprint race today at Suzuka. One more time around for everybody. Mateo currently the leader in Pro. We actually might have ourselves a good little Pro-Am fight. Thiago Moya and Paulo Goday not far apart here.
At all, I can see that distance being made up quite quickly around the circuit. Circuit's quite a long one to get around to. But for most people like me and you, probably lap times within the 2-minute range. So for these guys, they only got about a minute and 57 to make it around. Minute and 57 to make this pass. Let's see what they got.
On board with Paulo Goday, reigning champion in what used to be Division 1. Now it is effectively Division 2 Pro-Am, or I guess Division 1.5, if you will. There was no Pro Division last season in the North American Racing League. It was re-added here in Season 9. And Paulo kind of, I mean, he won at the top echelon of racing last season, but now he's the second echelon, still doing great. I mean, he is one of the favorites, certainly, in every Pro-Am battle this season, and putting some pressure here on Thiago Moya. The unfortunate thing for these two is they are 9th and 10th overall on the racetrack right now, Blue. They will not be getting inverted forward in today's feature race. That honor will belong solely to the pros, as Daniel Antunes currently laps in the 8th spot. There's not much ground between. I suppose it could still switch, but there we go. Nicholas Mateo into the Casio Triangle for the final time in our sprint race. And the grid and go number 5 will come on down the front stretch and collect himself a checkered flag in the sprint race here in Japan. It is Nicholas Mateo with the W.
And I mean, what a drive for Mateo for the sprint race. 20 minutes isn't long to make the moves. He makes the move, gets over second gap within the time remaining. I mean, I need to wait to see what happens in the more endurance style race, in the 40-minute race here. But that's almost driver of the day worthy to me.
Oh, watch out here. Ledesma through the grass there in the triangle. That gives a spot to Marone. Ledesma still serving a slowdown. That could be a really big issue if he doesn't get it all served. Watch out for that when results finalize, as Miguel Colon got him there as well. Jose Sara couldn't quite get by him. There you see Juan Blainat's destroyed car. He finishes 14th in the sprint. And a few more cars come by. Jose Ramirez couldn't quite get to Avery Hart, as here is a fight with one in the pit lane. Uh-oh, Ricardo Delgado. If that's a penalty, that's going to put him to the back of the line. Serving it on the final lap will not count. So Ricardo Delgado, I mean, it's only going to be about 6 positions he loses, but that's still going to be a big deal for him. There's Barney. Why is he down all the way down there? What is he doing?
Who knows? I mean, I saw Jack Black down there too during the Formula 1 race, so
Ricardo Delgado does get dropped down to 30th spot. He was only in about 27th or 28th, so it's not a massive deal, but still certainly not a good deal for Delgado. Well, that of course finalizes the sprint race. That was a wild sprint, and I can only imagine what the feature is going to be like here in a few moments, but let's take a look first at what's upcoming here in Pit Stop TV territory. We've got a lot coming up. A very busy April remains, as there you see, we head out to Darlington Raceway on April the 13th for the NORL Retro Cup Series presented by Harpoon Design. Throwback cars and a throwback track there at Darlington. Should be a lot of fun, as those guys will certainly be wheeling and dealing on Monday evening at Darlington's Raceway. Then Tuesday, it's out to Dover Motor Speedway with the BRB Sundance Pro Series in their second season of using those Arco Menard Series cars. I love them. It's been a lot of fun to watch those cars get racing, and should be a lot of fun this coming Tuesday as well. And then you see some dirt racing back in the menu for Pit Stop TV. Lucas Oil Speedway coming up for the Dirt Sprint Car Championship Series. That'll be our second race covering with them here in 2026. And then, of course, we will get back in action with our our AM drivers, rather. That'll be right back here at Suzuka in just a week's time. And here is that AM schedule. You can see it is the same, lineup of tracks. Obviously, now the lineup is slightly differently ordered, but still the same general format. And we are at race number 6 this coming week for AM drivers as they head right back here to Suzuka, then VIR and Road America to cap things off for them. But this is not all we have to look at. Blue, I promised you we had a GT3 spec graphic. We do. Here it is. And we can take a look at all there is to know about GT3 cars on iRacing in the 2026 lineup, at least as it stands in 2026 season number 2 on iRacing. Who knows what could come in the June build, but this of course goes off of the FIA GT3 regs, and of course these regulations were developed initially back in 2005 by the FIA and SRO to create this new Grand Touring class to kind of fit in a little more production base as opposed to what GT1 and GT2 were at the time. And now it's easily the most popular sports car class, I think, worldwide.
I mean, I haven't seen GT2 or GT1 ran in quite some time. Last time I saw them, it was in Assetto Corsa. So, and I don't even want to start getting into real life because I don't think I've ever seen them race in real life. So, I think GT3 quite takes the cake for the most popular class out of all of them, besides maybe GT4.
And I think you could argue maybe that Hypercar now is kind of taking its place, but Hypercar GTP, I mean, it's fun. I love that class, but I think GT3 is just a little more popular still, and just a little more accessible to everybody to kind of wrap their heads around. You see, it's all production based. It's mostly the same engines that you would see in the road-going cars, just tuned up, of course, to race spec, and the cars are stripped down to race spec and racing tires and aero devices and everything else like that. So they are very, very close still to their road counterparts, but definitely race modified. As you can see, it's interesting. We have a decent spread, actually, of different engine formats. We cover a lot of single class series, whether it's NASCAR stock cars, even the sprint cars now on dirt, and technically GT3 is single class, but it's not single make, and it's not single format of car, I guess. We've got the inline 6 from BMW, the Boxer 6-cylinder from Porsche, several, or I guess a couple of V6s out there, several V8s, and even a couple of V10s. So what is that, 5 different engine formats across the 11 different manufacturers? I'm surprised there aren't more, actually.
Me too, but you know what? Each of them have found what worked for their car and out on the road and brought in the people.
We need a Mazda GT3, and we need the rotary engine.
Don't even get me started on wanting a Mazda GT3. Don't even get me started. And update for you on what happened with Scott Reisner. It did seem like just an internet drop disconnect.
He
I don't
actually,
fully know
he
which one.
messaged me. He said he guesses he was disqualified for ignoring black flags and joked that he was going to fire a steward. I don't know who all is stewarding tonight, but maybe lock that door behind you in the steward booth and make sure Scott can't go pull your card. But here we go. We're going to roll right into the feature race this evening and get back on track again. Look at the race details. It's the same kind of race. Really, the only difference, well, there's two. The length. I guess the lineup technically with the 8-car invert, but the biggest difference is that fuel load. It's still the same fuel load technically, Blue, but we're going much farther. So because we're going farther, these guys will need to pit that 45% limit just enough to probably get about 25 minutes of racing. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less if you're drafting or short shifting or whatever. Tonight, I would expect it to be right about 25, maybe 27 minutes of racing, and then we'll see these guys all pit right there towards the end. So keep that in mind as we go on in tonight's program. And, well, we can get to the next ATVO starting grid on pole this evening for the feature race. How about Daniel Antunes there in car number 3? He will grid up on the front row alongside teammate Nicolas Rubilar. They are out of Spain and Chile, respectively, but both over that 10K I rating mark. Victor Miranda from 3rd, Roman Pascucci from 4th out of Brazil and Argentina. Back to 5th, it'll be Dino Filippa and Ricardo Rico. And to complete your top 8, your 8 that inverted will, of course, get Marco Saavedra and Nicolas Mateo. Mateo, top I rating in the field, going to be a lot of fun to watch and see if he can get back through the top 8. And of course, he has that black license as well, the world class license there on Mateo. The first couple of Pro-Ams, Thiago Moya and Paulo Godai, they will line up in row 5, followed by Hector Alvarez and Jacob Stofko. A great recovery from Stofko after some late issues at Mexico. Followed up by Ralph Benitez and Juan Blanat. On down through the list, we've got Jackson Ascende and Noel Marone. They've got a lot of work to do in this feature race. Miguel Colon, Angel Ledesma, 2 Puerto Rican drivers, alongside one another in row number 9, and back in row 10, Jose Sara and Chris Winstone. Into 21st, it's Andy Ray Miller alongside William Silva. Back in 23rd, Igor Fuguete, hopefully a calmer feature race from him from 23rd spot. Avery Hart alongside. And then it's Jose Ramirez, Icaro Piccolo, Diego Eder there in 27th, Lucas Souza in 28th. To complete your top 30, Blas Diaz and Ricardo Delgado. It is Marcos Franco from 31st, Scott Reiser from 32nd, Francesco Antonicelli and Edgar Ruiz falling caboose here on our field for our feature race at Suzuka. The field works back around to the final couple of corners of the formation and reconnaissance lap, and we're about to go racing now, feature racing style, for our pros in Japan. One more green flag on the way for these guys. Suzuka Circuit roaring back to life. That 5-minute break, boy, it was nothing at all. We're back, green flag racing for the pros in Japan.
Quite the breakdown into turn 1. Not too big, not too much. A lot of 2 wide. Side by side. I think I see a 3 wide somewhere in there.
Nearly some contact amongst our leaders. Mateo already up to 7th, so he's up 1 spot. We'll keep an eye on him as these opening laps take place. Double file through most of the field. That's what you're going to expect. Jose Sara in trouble. The rest of the field continues. No other issues. Into the Degners, first time, mostly single file. Now it's what you want to see. Some flashing back there. That's going to happen. Lap 1. It's tricky. A lot of traffic as Hector Alvarez and Lamborghini has gotten ahead of Thiago Moya for the Pro-Am lead. How about that?
I mean, in an off, not quite there, but an off-class car. I mean, that's something impressive, in my personal opinion.
Trouble back in the hairpin. Problems for a handful of drivers, several drivers. Oh my goodness. Avery Hart going to pay possibly the largest price. And they're still racing. Winstone there in a moment. He lifts out of it. We'll get a replay certainly of that. That was big.
I mean, that must have been at least 8 cars right there. And there's Avery now around that hairpin. One of my favorite iRacing editions since the Rain edition.
you know, no rain will ever happen, or so say Scott, here in a North American Racing League race. I'm still trying to get him, if we do another endurance race, I'm trying to get him to allow rain in an endurance race. I can understand it in these shorter points races, try to just keep it consistent weather, but I would like to see rain if we do endurance at some point, Scott. Who knows? As 2 minutes are complete, the first lap is in the books here for the pros in the feature race today. So battling here with Resende and Stofko. Let's check this out briefly into turn 1. And then I want to see if we can get a quick replay of what happened there in the hairpin. As Resende will pass Stofko, and it'll now be a race with Stofko and Cologne. We have a limited time. Let's see if we can go back and get a look at what happened lap 1, particularly there in the hairpin. And so this is a little farther ahead. This actually might be, oh, it's a one spin there. This actually kind of tells some of the story. So we're centered currently on Resende. He's right behind Stofko and in front of Cologne and one other car. I can't tell quite who that is just yet. I'm not sure where this starts here in the hairpin, so I'm just kind of letting it ride, and I think we'll have to dip back a little bit farther. Oh, here we go.
Oh, too hot.
I think it might have been Avery Hart, and you see there's the 29 of Chris Winstone out in the dirt as well. I think it starts with Hart in the Porsche. Let me see if I can select him. Here he is. Oh, it's most certainly going to be Avery. Watch this. The yellow and blue Porsche here into the hairpin. He just gets a little bit off track, I think, off the left. Braking there, not going to work. Wipes out Ramirez, who wipes out Winstone, and then Hart spins on his own as well. And that collects a handful of drivers there. They all have to stop. Oh, my goodness. One more look at it. Hart just got a little bit lost there. Driver's left, gets into the grass. It's never, you can't stop a car on the grass. It's never going to work.
Absolutely not. I mean, unfortunately, he went out to the grass, and pretty sad seeing how many cars headed through there.
Part of it, though. Lap 1 is always crazy here in these races. Our leaders now work through lap number 3 through the S's. It's still Antunes out ahead as we have battles all over the racetrack. So it's going to be a very busy evening, I can tell you that.
And I just want to build on what you were talking about earlier with the rain. I know I'm new here, but I think if you're going to do it, don't even tell the drivers. Just do it. Pick a race. Don't tell the drivers. Update it like the night before. Make it a full rain race. And see how they adapt. You know, weather changes sometimes. Sometimes the forecast isn't quite as accurate as it may seem.
I like the rain. I know not everybody likes the rain. I think it's fine in these points races, but like I said earlier, if we go endurance racing again properly, I think we certainly should see some weather, even if it's just light stuff. Just a little bit of precip out there would be cool, but anyways, on to it here. 34 minutes to go at Suzuka. Watching from some of the static cameras around the racetrack, this gives you a really good sense of how quickly these guys are moving. I think a lot of our TV cameras show the action really well, but they look like they're crawling around this place. But even for GT3 cars, they are booking it around this circuit.
I mean, you just have to remember, coming out of spin, they're going into 130R, they're going almost 200 miles per hour.
Right there.
I mean, look at that. And even through here, they're going, what, around 50? Really easy when either you're driving or you're just watching race cars go around a circuit to forget just how fast the machines these are that we have built.
Here's a good static shot into turn 1. These guys are topping out about 160 miles per hour, nearly 165 in some cases, depending if they have draft or not. So I mean, they're still getting it there into turn 1, and we'll see if we can get it stacked again going into 130R next time around. But I mean, these guys really are carrying a lot of speed around this race course, as Dino Filippa has just been passed up by Nicholas Matteo. You know, I thought if there's anybody that might have been able to stop Matteo, it might be Dino, but clearly that's not the case. Matteo has got this thing figured out. And let's remind you, these are fixed setups. It's not like he has a setup advantage. Everybody's got the same setup in the race car, at least if they're in the same manufacturer. So him passing all these other Aston Martins, I mean, they've got to be wondering what the heck they're doing wrong.
I mean, that's what I've always been looking for. I'm always down to find a fixed setup race, because the difference between you and your opponents, it doesn't come down to if you got the better setup in the car. It comes down to if you're actually just faster than them. And in this case, I don't mean to be mean here, but Teo seems to be faster than the rest.
Another 150 mile per hour entry here into Spoon for these drivers. So again, just talking about how fast they're going. Even that short run from the hairpin through turn 12 and 200R into Spoon, they're still getting it pretty good. And here they are on the backstretch, already over 140 miles per hour. And as they enter 130R here, let's see, watching the speeds, 156, yeah. So turn 1 and 130R both, and the entry is right around 160.
And it's just a good reminder through turn 1, the braking doesn't happen there. You brake for turn 2 at the apex of turn 1, or at least in my experience. Some people might brake a little earlier, some people might brake a little bit later. Oh!
Miguel Colon turned around here. This is a difficult spot once again for Cologne to be in. And the 87 drops down to 25th overall, 14th now in class. And so his day has gotten a whole lot worse all of a sudden. And yeah, these guys, let's see. Let's go on board with Scott Reister. The dive into turn 1 here, you do start braking a little bit. You're downshifting there by the apex of 1, but it is still really, really late because you know you have that relatively wide corner to go into, and then you've still got to do a lot of braking, slowing, and just turning the car there between 1 and 2 very quickly.
75 here by...
Try and get a better look with one of the pro guys maybe at turn 1 this next lap and show you what we're talking about, but it is definitely turn 1 at Suzuka. It'll put hair on your chest, I think is fair to say.
I think that's a good way to put it. Your heart goes down into the throttle is another funny way I just thought of, because that's how it feels. It feels like a roller coaster almost.
Watching speeds here with Marcos Saavedra now. This could be the guy we watch. I mean, you've got the top drivers in the series all out the windshield currently from Marcos' perspective here. 7 of the best, not just in this series, but also 7 of the best at iRacing. Again, we have that world-class license for Mateo, and there are 4 drivers in excess of 10,000 iRating in front of him in this one shot from the onboard camera. So, I mean, you're looking at easily in front of him alone 65,000 iRating.
I mean, that just has to be an insane feeling. I can't believe just watching him through the screen. I can't even imagine racing on the circuit with these guys.
There you see the 161, kind of a lift, float down to that curbing there in turn 1. That's where you start making your downshifts and your braking. So that's a good perspective, I think, with Saavedra. And now through the S's, it's completely different from that super high-speed entry to turn 1 to the very finicky, narrow line you got to race on through the S's. This circuit really does have it all.
That's one of the reasons I love it so much. I mean, there's just a little bit of everything all around the track, and it flows really well together. You'd think it would be a little awkward. The only awkward part of this track may be the Degners here, but besides that, even those, once you learn how to take them, they're so much fun.
And I think those are even really cool because it forces you to adapt mid-lap as a driver, because you're used to these really smooth flowing corners, and then suddenly it's those 2 kind of more jagged feeling corners at the Degners, and it just completely throws your flow off a little bit. You've got to hit them just right. The curbing there on the inside of each one of those corners does not feel right. There's not much runoff. It's very, very tricky. I think it because they don't fit in, they actually do fit in a kind of weird way. So the racing here in the feature race a lot calmer versus the sprint, and I'm not complaining. I mean, these guys are now thinking about fuel strategy versus just position. And that's where we're going to see, I think, the most important passes made. I think that's typically the way it goes anyways, but if you're new maybe to the North American Racing League, you're just tuning in tonight for the first time, or in the case of Blue Carlin, you're commentating for the first time here for NARL today, that's where the not just proverbial money will be made, but really the money will be made. I mean, these guys get some pretty large payouts each race, and I'll try and dig up those numbers here in a second, but that's where it's going to be made, is the pit lane, making those pit stops count, right? Trying to be in and out of the pit lane as quickly as possible, and that's not just fuel savings, so your box time is shorter, but also making sure you execute in every single way while you are between the pit cones. And so, going back to the most recent list of payouts for this Pro Series, each of the top 4 drivers in Pro get $100.
Oh,
each. Then, down in Pro-Am, it's 60, 40, 30, 20 for the top 4 finishers, with each team that does the best in both Pro and Pro-Am each round also garnering $50 as a team. And the driver of the day, even that we vote on, that is now a paid position, if you will. They get $20 as well. So there's a healthy bit of funds flowing each round, and there's a lot for these guys to race for. So again, the pay window will be decided more than likely in the pit lane tonight. The order, at least, of which these drivers enter the line for the pay window tonight to collect their winnings from this race. And you know, Antunes, you might think traditionally in a Grand Prix setting, he's got the field covered, he's leading the race, but frankly, he's in the worst spot. He's bearing the brunt of all that dirty air, or clean air rather. He's giving everybody else dirty air, and that might hurt a little bit in the corners, but it makes up for it on the straightaways. They get to save fuel. They get to draft, lift a little bit earlier, and make sure they can take that shorter stop.
the good thing he has to go for, though, is he has a teammate right behind him here, defending off 53. It's going to give him just a little extra layer of safety, but I don't predict it's going to be much. The second that pass is made, I see what he could go here. You know, when you were talking about the pay, I was thinking, man, put me in the league, and then I realized I thought about the high rating difference and the time difference, and I realized maybe not yet.
Yeah, there's no way.
I'll see what I can do.
There's no way I can hold a candle to these guys. I mean, down in the AM race, even there, they get pretty good payouts. 35, 20, 10, 5. Heck, $5 running an iRacing race? Hey, I'll take it. You know, anything. But of course, it's just for the top four. It's still, you rack enough of those together, you can at least pay back your dues and then some to the league. So definitely, the North American Racing League, one of the premier places, I think, to go GT3 racing on the iRacing.com sim, if not the premier place. I certainly would consider it the premier place, but I might be a little bit biased as watching a battle now between fourth and third. There's not a whole lot of action, honestly. I mean, there is, but there isn't amongst the Pro-Am drivers. The trouble is, it's all midfield, and we have the pro leaders close enough together. It's hard to go back to the guys in the midfield in Pro-Am, but here is your Pro-Am leader, Hector Alvarez, who's basically held that position since the start of the race. I believe it was lap 1 he made the pass on Thiago Moya and Paulo Goday. So Hector just riding around in the lead. He's got Ralph Benitez just behind, and then Thiago Moya just behind that. So he doesn't have much room here. This is still a race worth watching between Hector Alvarez and Thiago Moya. There you see Thiago. But right now, that teammate in between, it's just nerfing this battle just enough where it's not really the focus of the evening at the moment. Deeper in the field, Diego Era and William Oro Silva. This is for 9th and 10th in class, about 20th and 21st on the racetrack. This is the next best fight, and then Andy Ray Miller and Miguel Colon. Hey, fight here to turn 1, maybe? No dice for Miguel Colon. He will have to wait.
Not quite. I thought he was going to maybe get alongside turn 2. Car in the pits.
This could be the beginning. I tell you, these guys can go about 25 minutes. That means they can pit with about 25 minutes to go. And there you see Marcos Franco in the pit lane. The problem here, Blue, is he is taking tires. We will not see the leaders taking tires this evening. That usually is the mark of somebody who maybe is calling it a day, and certainly him still being in the pit lane points to that, as Edgar Ruiz had a not so great entry there into his box. He also took some tires. Might have canceled them just in time, but it's still going to slow his stop down.
The layout here very similar to one of iRacing's official races. I tend to forget the name of, but 40-minute sprint. That's like the GT Sprint series here. Very similar to the 40-minute sprint. The strategy there, I know, you do not take tires at just about any cost. There's very few times where maybe it'll be beneficial, maybe very few tracks. I'm predicting it's the same situation here.
You would need a really hot racetrack, I feel like, in order to need tires in this series, and even then, I just don't know that it would be worth it. But 22 minutes to go, we are just about halfway. That's 9 complete of an expected 21. I think we will just barely hit that 21 lap mark. It might be 20 though, so that could be a storyline to watch as well. And we saw that come into play actually in the AM race at Watkins Glen a week ago. Blue, we were expecting one more lap, and then the race suddenly went white flag, and in the final 3 corners, and we had to scramble to figure out who was going to win that one. And it didn't really change too much, other than I think we had at least one guy run out of fuel. I think a few more would have run out of fuel if the race went one more lap, but we are starting to see some more pros actually pit. Jackson Resende in the pit lane, William Oro Silva as well. Silva still in the box. Resende down away. Scott Reister in the pit lane as well. He will get rolling. And Jose Sarra now enters. Now Resende, look at the box time here for Resende. 13.2 seconds, 13.25. For Oro Silva, 13.18. That's the number we need to watch this evening, because then Scott Reister back here, 11.87. And let's see, we saw, who else did we see pit? Was that, oh, it was Marcos Franco. He has not re-entered the racetrack. He is out for the day, it looks like now. We did see Edgar Ruiz pit, 13.28 seconds there in the box for him. That is essentially the amounts of fuel going in these race cars. So when we get to these leaders pitting, that's the number we're watching. So if you're new to the series, again, if maybe you're watching for the first time tonight, that's the number we got to worry about to see who takes the most fuel and who takes the least fuel.
And I want to build up on Marcos Franco there. He has left the session, so I'm assuming he took the wheel off. He called it a day.
Could be one of those things where he just got tired of where he was running. Could also be a matter of something going on in the real world. You never know. I was actually watching the Mexico broadcast back earlier today, Blue, and it reminded me of a story I actually told in that broadcast because it was relevant at the time. Earlier that week, that Monday night, we actually had to announce that the driver that left the session from the lead had to leave the session because his wife was going into labor. And yeah, I will never be able to wrap my head around that. It's just so crazy that we've had the opportunity now to announce that. I mean, that's not something you think you'll be announcing when it comes to iRacing, but sure enough, we had to, and there we go. Tiago Moya, a slightly shorter stop, but yeah, Josh Conover, league owner of the National Online Racing Association on Monday nights that we broadcast here on Pitstop TV, he was leading at Atlanta and had to leave the session because his wife was going to labor, and just like I said, several weeks ago in that race at Mexico, it had just snowed. It was still February at the time. It had just snowed up in his state, New Jersey. He had a very sketchy drive to and from the hospital, but it was all worth it. And baby Jenna is here and healthy, and that family couldn't be happier. But as we get into the back half of this race, we are, of course, watching for the North American Racing League Driver of the Day conversation. Fans out there watching, particularly on YouTube, if you have somebody you have your eye on, I'd love to know. I'd love to hear it. Not just your favorite driver. Genuinely somebody you think has made a largest impact here today. Not just your favorite, not just your teammate, not just your friend. But who do you think we have talked the most about in a positive light? Who do you think has made a large impact in this race today? And we'll see if we can take that into account as we're already starting to cook up those nominations. I mean, the pit lane is going to be opening here very shortly for these pro drivers. And that's kind of the final mark we wait on to make those picks.
I think the second that those go off, we're going to see everyone get really racy here. I think the current fuel strategy, it's over. We have enough fuel to make it to the end if we just push. Full push, make it treat it like qualifying. Track's all nice and rubbered. Tires are a little bit cooled down, but they're not too hot, but not too cold. They're in that perfect little range. And here we got our first pit stop from Juan, number 89.
Juan Blanat into the pit lane. We'll watch his pit stop here, as it looks like Miguel Colon will join him. And 12.07 seconds there for Blanat. For Colon, it should be similar. There you see another Mustang in the pit lane. That is the 174 of Icaro Piccolo, as it's a 12.8 there for Miguel Colon. Oh, watch this! Into the hairpin. This is for fourth. Roman Pascucci and Ricardo Rico. This is a great fight right here with pit stops on the way. And Nicholas Mateo, he's licking his chops.
He's waiting for it. He's hoping there's some sort of contact. And then the door bumping. The two crazy sends it inside of the 23. He's going to keep the spot coming out of Spoon, and it looks like so.
Mateo with
Beautiful
a
move from Mateo.
Big time pass right there. That was large. As there we go. The drone finally switches. That was a large pass from Mateo. He's now got three teammates. Well, not his teammates, but three drivers from the same team. SDR lined up right behind him. That's got to be daunting to look in the mirror and see three of the same livery. Oh my gosh.
I can't even imagine it. Their nose tail coming through the last little chicane. No pit stops yet from the drivers. We're going for another lap, it looks like, for these lead drivers here. See P2 and P1 making a little runaway. Sorry, out of P1 to P3.
On board here with Nicholas Mateo. So you see, he's listed as Drago Racing. That spreadsheet that is loaded in was actually made at the beginning of the season, and it's going to need an update because he has actually departed Drago Racing, I believe in the last couple of weeks. Saw it on Instagram actually, and he is now racing over at Grid and Go. And in all of that shuffling, here he is. He's still in the series, able to start racing tonight. Hopefully we see more of him. But with a team change before he even hit the racetrack this season, so that changes things up, literally. As Mateo is now in position 5. Some Pro-Am pit stops back there. Nicholas Mateo leaving the pit lane. He's now currently in 18th. We also had... Who was that? I was just on him. Oh, Thiago Moya, actually. Big problems. He's dropping out of the session, I think, and he was second in Pro-Am. So Thiago Moya in trouble. Here's your leaders again. They're starting to gap Victor Miranda. Things are going to change down Pro-Am. We'll keep you honest, keep you updated on what's going on down there as we hit 15 minutes to go. I think we'll see pros in this time. The operative word being think.
I mean, Antunes is kind of controlling it right now. He decides where the top of this field goes, at least the top 5. Probably even back to, P10 here. And Orsino coming in here. Here we go.
As one car was out in the dirt, yes, pit stops now for our leaders, and this will be everybody. Look at the line filing in. All the leaders coming in right here. Like even Hector Alvarez and company will file in. Yes, there is Alvarez. So the Pro-Ams will now come in. Pit lane is wide open. Roman Pascucci did continue on. He's the only pro driver to do so this lap. Everybody else coming in for service. Literally everybody else. Even Jose Ramirez, I think, will be here. Yes. So of 14 cars left to pit, one stays out, the others all pit, and Rubilar gets away ahead of Antunes, just like I said that it would happen. Antunes had to take more fuel. 12.7 seconds the stop for Antunes, 11.6 for Rubilar. That's the difference of being in the lead. 1 second in the box.
Now I'm curious, are we going to see a wonderful overcut from Pascucci here?
Who was just stopped in the grass?
Someone stopped in the grass. Miller stopped in the grass.
I think it was Andy Ray Miller. The color of the car at least matches. It was a blur as the leaders went by and our TV camera panned with it, but here's Andy Ray Miller. He dispatched from the pit lane just ahead of the leaders. So I wonder if he's on cold tires here. Yeah, I think so, because he had no grip there in 1 and 2. And then as he gets down here to the S's, 3, 4, I mean, you can tell he's taking it very gingerly. And just out wide and called it a day. Well then, Roman Pascucci will come around and pit this time, I'd imagine. Once he does so, Blue, I think we are fair game to start picking our drivers of the day. And boy, aren't you so lucky? I'm going to put you up to it first.
Oh man, I would almost like to wait a little bit longer, but I'm just gonna have to put Mateo up there for this performance in the sprint race alone. And I mean, P5 isn't as crazy, or sounds not too crazy, but still is in fighting through 3 other drivers and extra. So
I'll tell you what, since you were a good sport about it, being thrown into it, I'll let you just pick that one. I'll pick mine too, and then I'll let you have a moment to think. And I'll get back to you here, but that is a great pick, of course, for Mateo to just go straight on, and he has, I think, made probably the largest impact of the day, just considering we haven't seen much of him this season, if any. And here he is now, dominated the sprint race, still very good in this feature race. So Nicholas Mateo is a lock there in Pro. Have you had enough time to think on your Pro-Am driver, or do you want me to go first?
I think you should go first on your pros.
Fair enough.
Here.
Well, I'm going to look at positions gained across the board. And we're looking at 3 so far for Mateo. So obviously he has kind of made the most spots of the front-running Pro drivers. But if you look down through Pro, we still have, I mean, Pascucci has gained, let's see, 3 spots himself. Benitez has gained 5. And of course, this is tracking overall on the ticker, not overall on the lower third. So it's a little bit, or no, it is, I think. Yeah, it's counting overall there on the lower third. So 5 spots there for Benitez, 5 spots as well for Juan Blanat. That's a red herring, because I'm going to be honest, Nicholas Rubilar, obviously kind of a team game out front between he and Tunez kind of got the unlucky side of it in that he inverted into the pole position and kind of led by default, but Rubilar had to execute in his wake all those laps, burning those front tires, begging the car to grip. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to go the easy way and go ahead and take Nicholas Rubilar. He's also been one of the more impactful drivers this season as a whole, and I think that counts for something to continue this kind of run here into this evening. Now, that said, looking down in Pro-Am, I cannot look any farther than Blas Diaz from 29th to 12th. I'll tell you what, were you going to take Blas?
I just spotted him. I was looking at the ticker and I spotted 17 positions gained, and I was like, ooh.
Well, I've got another one in the bag here. Sorry, no, it wasn't Angel. It was Francesco Antonincelli. Where'd he go? Here we go, 15th spot. From 33rd to 15th. I'll take Francesco then.
33rd to 15th, I mean, that's nothing to scoff at. That's quite the gain right there. I am going to stick with Diaz, however, for my Pro-Am pick. I mean, 70 spots, also nothing to scoff at. Top 3 of Pro-Am, I mean...
Yeah, those 2 drivers, I think Alvarez maybe has a slightly more impressive run, but Diaz is still going to podium, it looks like, here in Pro-Am. And all those spots gained, I can't ignore that.
Me neither. Those are my picks right there.
That vote will go live over on YouTube now. It is live for you to vote on, and I think these drivers certainly would appreciate your votes out around the racetrack here today. After all, it's $20 if they win, so I mean, you're kind of deciding who gets a paycheck at the end of the day. But anyways, out leading, I can't say enough about this guy, Nicholas Rubilar. He ran seasons past, actually, in the series. He's not a stranger here to the North American Racing League. He's got a bit of a history here with this group. Comes back this season in this pro category and has been absolutely lighting things up for Drago Racing. Looks like he's on his way to a win here in the feature race at Suzuka. And just looking back at the points graphic, I'll do so off screen, I won't bring it up. Rubilar has 2 wins already. The trouble is he's kind of deep in the points. So, I mean, this will be a third win, a series-leading third win. But how high will he truly be in the standings after? I don't know. I mean, I would think he might be able to get up to like 6th or so, but he's still got his work cut out for him. The final 3 races at, let's see, it'll be VIR, Road America rather, and then in Watkins Glen. Those are 3 tracks that, honestly, for an international driver, he may or may not have a bunch of experience. I would think so as a pro that he's still going to have a good handle on them, but I mean, frankly, international drivers tend to run what they know internationally, and I just don't think VIR and Road America, well, Road America maybe is still on that list, but VIR I don't think is a track that these guys run maybe quite as often.
I mean, honestly, when I looked at the track map, as much as I do enjoy VIR, and you were talking about earlier which ones you switch out for it to be absolute classic around the world, I think I'd switch out VIR for Le Mans in a situation we're putting Le Mans in.
I would hesitate to do so. Partially because I have a very personal connection to that racetrack, having been there several times in reality, as we got some great fighting here in Pro-Am. But also VIR is kind of like America's, not quite Nürburgring, but it is just a classic form of racetrack in that way. But let's talk about this battle instead. Look at this, Paolo Godai and Francesco Antonelli lighting things up here. Midfield in Pro-Am. This is 14th and 15th. Jacob Stofko has just gone by for 13th. And they are actually battling top 5 in class. Antonelli now has 5th in class, and Paolo Godai wants it back.
I think if I was to ask him just one single question, it would be, are you hungry enough to get 5th in class back? Are you willing to make that dive going into the chicane coming up here? He's not, but he's still close enough. He might get a little something down the straight, down into turn 1. We'll see.
And the whole racetrack, more or less, has caught a cloud here. That's going to cool things down for these guys slightly. Maybe make these final few minutes even grippier out on the racetrack. Also getting word from Thiago Moya out in the YouTube chat, his ISP crashed and is down currently. And that's why he dropped out from, I believe, 2nd place here in this race. I believe he won the sprint in Pro-Am, so that is incredibly unfortunate for him. I mean, he was on the road to a pretty solid day.
That's just one way to go, and it's going to happen virtually. And it sucks. I'm not saying it should, but it's something that you just need to try to think won't happen and hope it doesn't.
Yeah, I hear it all the time. The kind of equivalent, sim race is equivalent to a mechanical failure, right? Whether it's an engine or a suspension component or something breaking on the race car that takes you out of competition for the day. Thankfully, it's not nearly as expensive as any of those real race car parts. I suppose it can be expensive. It's a hardware failure, and I mean, I'm gonna knock on wood for everybody. we don't want that to happen, but yeah, I mean, if I have to have a reason for not being in a race anymore, I think as painful as it is, the internet dropping is probably the least problematic one. It sucks the most, maybe, but it doesn't cost you anything, right? I mean, it's a lot better than crashing the car like we're about to see here for Icaro Piccolo.
Through the S. Ooh, right into the barrier head first. Is he gonna at least attempt to drive it back? That's a bruised and battered front end.
He ends up towing here in a second. You can see all that damage in the left front of the race car. He pulls it off to the grass and decides to tow that one back. I want to get one more look because we have a better camera here for it, but this is just unfortunate for Icaro.
Looks like just a bit too much on his left tire on the grass, and yeah, right into the wall.
Nicholas Rubler still leading as we get into our final few laps here. I don't think that's going to change, frankly. He's got a really solid lead. He's 3.4 up on Ricardo Rico. What could change, actually, is this little fight for third. Rico might not be in the clear just yet with Nicolas Mateo on his back bumper. This is still a heads-up fight.
Mateo on the back bumper of Rico. We got Antunes on the back of Rubler. It's going to be a question, though, if Drago wants to pull out their equivalent of papaya rules. See how it goes.
Watching along on board with Nicholas Mateo trying to get that final podium spot. I think it's out of the question to get first or second, but you know the driver who won our sprint race today would like to do one better here in the feature if he can. And this time by, we're either going to get the white flag or 2 to go.
I think this is going to be 2 to go here.
iRacing and ATVO initially expected this to be a 21-lap race. It's going to be close, and I think it still will be, to the tune of maybe 10 seconds saving them. No, actually more like 30. Yeah, 30. So they're okay. This will be 2 laps to go for these drivers, and there is some lap traffic down the road. Could that play into things?
Lap traffic in the same class is always going to be difficult because usually when you think of traffic, you think of GTPs versus a GT3 or an LMP2 versus a GT3. But the second you get GT3 on GT3 or GTP on GTP, it gets a little bit more dicey there.
Well, I know this guy will at least make it easy on them. Chris Winstone, he is our commentator actually on alternating Thursdays for the AM division. And we're working on something. We didn't quite get it going this week, and actually it's no fault of his. He got me the footage in time, but my family is all under the weather this week, myself included, so we've been sniffling and coughing and just trying to get through and drinking enough Pedialyte. But Chris Winstone doing some work with us on the amateur side. He is a Pro-Am driver here. He's made it into the top, I guess, open division, if you will, of the North American Racing League. The Pro division currently, I believe, is invite only, but Chris Winstone has he still has some work to do. Today has not gone well, but he is putting in the work, putting in the effort, and becoming a better sim racer every time he hits the racetrack. And it's an honor to commentate with him on alternating Thursdays for the AM division. Unfortunate that today has just gone very poorly, but there you see Maxwell Sim Racing, his team this season. He has gotten a whole lot better as a driver since he first joined the series. He still has a ways to go, but I think he'll take it easy on these leaders if they get to him, as here we go. They just might. They'll get 1 lap to go this time this time around blue. That's what I was trying to say is Rubelar comes through the Casio triangle one more time, and we will get the white flag brought to you by Whiplash SimCam's final time around here at Suzuka.
There it is. White flag. Let's go. See if Mateo gets to be on the podium here, looking down to turn 1. Bit too far apart.
This fight is still really intriguing to me. We'll keep our eye on it as the lap develops. We're also watching Marcus Saavedra and Roman Pescucci. They are teammates, so it should be nice and orderly between them, but worth keeping our eye on as here we go. Las Diaz and Jacob Stofko, 1 lap to go. This for 3rd in Pro-Am. Oh, really tight.
Off a little bumper to bumper. Doesn't look like there was any contact or nothing big enough to cause a disruption.
On board here with Jacob Stofko. Had a great run going. We were considering him for driver of the day honors actually last time out at Mexico City, and then had a couple of spins late, and it just completely unraveled the entire day. But he was a lot of fun to watch in that race, and he's starting to work his way back up to that kind of performance here today. These guys are having some fun here in Pro-Am as they work on their final few positions. Nicholas Rubelar, or Nicholas Mateo rather, wide there in Spoon. Rubelar, of course, on his way to win this race, but Mateo not quite done. He wants to get by Ricardo Rico here in the final couple of opportunities. 130R coming up. You see Rico goes defensive. Oh, they're both moving off a lot. They stay in line. Where's Mateo going to go into the triangle here? This is going to be tight for these two. Final real opportunity. They stay in line, and Nicholas Rubelar will walk out of Japan a feature race winner today in the North American Racing League. It'll be over Daniel Antunes, his teammate, and then Ricardo Rico manages the podium there ahead of Nicholas Mateo. I believe that's an all Drago Racing top 3. That's impressive.
I mean, that absolutely is something that says something about the team. It says something about the drivers.
And there's Hector
Fantastic
Alvarez
race.
across the line to win in Pro-Am. Noel Marone just couldn't quite get it done. Second place for him. A great day, I think, overall, despite the detours earlier on. Jacob Stofko just behind Blas Diaz. Blas hangs on for the podium there in Pro-Am. Oh, look at this. Francesco Antonicelli trying to get Diego Era. He won't. Era gets the spot. That's for 7th in class. 17th on the racetrack. Ledesma was there too. A string of drivers all across the line at once. A couple more here to the end. Victor Miranda, William Oro Silva at the back end. Edgar Ruiz here still has to finish the race, along with Jose Sara and Chris Winstone. We'll be talking to your top 2 drivers from each division. At least that's the plan here in a couple of moments. As Rubilar and Antunes take it in Pro, it'll be Alvarez and Marone in Pro-Am. There's Edgar Ruiz across the line. Here comes Jose Sara. Not the TV time they want to get, but I think they'll take it. And Chris Winstone, unfortunately, back here. It'll be the very final car to finish this race today. But you know what? As difficult as that might be to accept here, Blue, at least he's finishing the race.
That's always something that I told myself, out of everything you could do, especially when I was starting out, given these guys aren't starting out, at least finish the race. Make it through it far enough to finish the race, even if it's in last. Into the wall he puts his car. Maybe a little frustrated with the outcome, but at least he finished.
Some extracurricular there for us to take a look at before we wrap things up today. Let's take a look at your unofficial race results. Nicholas Mateo headlining the day, but Nicholas Rubilar will win here in Pro Division. And that is Drago Racing for the entire Pro podium. Rubilar, Antunes, and Rico, your top 3. Mateo and Felipe, your top 5. Then it's Marcos Saavedra, Roman Pascucci, Ralph Benitez, and Juan Blanat. I believe four of them are the same team. Felipe, Saavedra, Pascucci, and Blanat. Benitez, the one oddball out there in the back end of the top 10. And then Hector Alvarez, he wins in Pro-Am. And look at that. 20 seconds behind the Pro winner. That's not too bad, honestly.
Not too bad.
What's the difference in I rating between them? Because, let's see, it's 10,000 something. I can't quite make it out on my timing and scoring screen for Rubilar. And for Alvarez, it's 5,000. So he has half the I rating, but stayed within 21 seconds of him. That, I think, is worth bragging about if you're Hector Alvarez.
Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't. I'd keep it high. I'd frame that on the wall personally.
Well, on down through the list here, you see Noel Marone, 11th place, 2nd in Pro-Am, Blas Diaz, Jacob Stofko, Paulo Goday, your top 5 in Pro-Am. Jackson Resende, one of the oddball Pro drivers, down the list in 15th. You see the rest of the top 20, Cologne, Era, Antonicelli, Ledesma, and Souza. Good to see Souza recover a good bit. He had some really bad moments earlier, but got back into the top 20 here in the feature, ahead of guys like Jose Ramirez, Scott Reister, an off day for him. But I think he's happy just to be able to sim race. He's in the petroleum business, and right now that's a scary place. So Scott Reister, stress-free 22nd place, I think. Just happy back on the sim in his case. Victor Miranda at 23rd. William Oro Silva. Edgar Ruiz, your top 25. Jose Sara, Chris Winstone. Icaro Piccolo, Thiago Moya, Andy Miller. I mean, as you go further down the line, it's just more and more heartbreak. All those guys really with bad days towards the back of the field. And then you're back 4. Marcos Franco out early. Avery Hart out early. Ricardo Delgado barely even made the start of the race, it looks like. And Igor Becker Pereira, Igor Foguete. Unfortunately, did not make the start of the race. I told myself mentally, Blue, I had to attempt the full name at least once. And I probably butchered it a bit, but that's just how it's going to go. So, waiting on drivers to join us here in post-race. What we can talk about. while we work on that is the upcoming schedule for these guys. Again, next up, VIR. I'm excited, actually, for that race. And we still have Suzuka next week for the amateur drivers, but Blue, I really, really enjoy VIR.
I mean, it is a wonderful track. I'm never going to say it's not. It's an enjoyable track. It's a wide track, especially. There's every corner, it's a passing opportunity, except for maybe the last couple. And even then, the last couple are, depending on how daring you are.
Working on pinging each of the top 2 drivers here quickly. They always kind of take their time leaving their team channels. That's fine. We don't have a time crunch here tonight, but we will try to get them in as quickly as possible. I don't see... Actually, we have a couple joining. There we go. As I was tagging them, they all joined. That's okay. So that's the upcoming schedule for the North American Racing League Pro side, and the M side looks very similar, just with Watkins Glen already in the books. So we'll go to Suzuka next for them, then VIR and Road America for the championship. A big thank you to our partners with this series, of course, making things happen here in the North American Racing League. Maradness, JS Consulting, Screw Compressor Service Incorporated, and Rocket Designs, all doing so much for this series. Daniel Morad, a longtime supporter of the program here at the North American Racing League, and continues to be a supporter here even 5 years later. A big thank you as well to our partners here with the channel. We've got a couple of new ones on here: Whiplash Simcams, MXWraps.com, ATVO, Murder's Esports, CC's Business, North American Racing League, Whiplash Creative, and TZO Designs. I will talk more about that name particularly here in just a moment, but let's get into some driver interviews here, Blue. And of course, leading off will be Nicholas Rubelar, our race winner today in Pro. And Nicholas, I gotta be honest, it was another Nick that was up front in the sprint race. We thought maybe he was still on the show, but you guys at Drago, you came back, locked down the podium. From a team aspect, even before the driver aspect, that's gotta be so satisfying to know that you guys locked down the top 3 spots here in the feature today at Suzuka.
Yeah, I mean, it's always amazing when well, the team is always, I mean, the team is up there on the podium, you know. It's really because, well, it shows how we prepare to all the races, you know. So yeah, I'm really happy and grateful for the work that we do on this championship.
And I'm curious, you know, I've talked to you guys several times at this point over the years and whatnot, but for those that maybe don't know, since this is a fixed setup race, right, you guys can't tune the cars really. What can you guys do from a preparation standpoint? You just mentioned the preparation going into these races is part of why you guys win them. What can you do in preparation? Is it just learning the little bits of the racetrack, or what are you guys looking for in that kind of practice and preparation?
Well, basically maximizing all the limits that the track offers, and the iRacing limits as well, you know. So we have to like test the track limits, test how the car behaves, how it behaves through a stint, fuel strategy, etc., etc. So yeah, there's a lot of things to prepare, even though it's a fixed setup, you know. But as a driver point of view, yeah, there's a lot of work on every track.
Speaking of, I know there's a lot of work that's going to go into VIR, a very, very difficult racetrack to absolutely learn perfectly, but that's the next one up for you guys. What's the thought there?
Well, Virginia, I have like mixed feelings with this track because I don't really like it, but I have had good races there, so yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to keep hitting podiums.
Nicholas, it's good to talk to you as always. Congratulations, a big day today here at Suzuka. Hopefully we're talking to you again soon.
Thank you for the stream. Absolutely
glad to be here. Nicholas Rubelar, your overall race winner in the feature race today. On down to second place, Daniel Antunes, and I'm excited to talk to this guy as well, because Daniel, it was not just you out there leading that first stint until the pit stop, but you had your teammate behind you. Obviously, I know you guys are teammates, but that's going to be some pressure, right? To hit your mark every single lap and kind of know that in the position you have, you're by default going to have to take more fuel and go behind him in the back half of the race. Is there added pressure for you, or am I kind of making that up?
Well, having Rui behind is always like a big pressure. we all know who is Ruby, and is well, having him behind is not the best thing you can have in the race, but well, it was a good first stint, but then on the pit stop I didn't have the clutch prepared, so I lost everything there.
And of course, you're a little farther down the point standings this season, but trying to help guys like your teammate Nicholas Rubelar, for example, maybe go for the championship this season. What's it like from that aspect, trying to help them get all the points they can get, while also trying to get the best result for yourself?
Well, firstly, I was thinking about the team because I thought I was gonna lose pace, to be honest, during the race. But then everyone told me just continue, do your race, and I wanted to win, but it wasn't easy.
Fair enough. Daniel Antunes, second place here today. Good to talk to you, Daniel, as always. And hey, hopefully we're talking to you guys again soon.
Thank you.
So far, Blue, it's just pro drivers that have connected to talk to us. We'll give them the light of day here briefly as Ricardo Rico is waiting alongside in a podium position. And we can keep this all within the team, right? Drago Racing all on top. Ricardo, how important is that for you guys as a team to put 3 of your cars on top and even have a former teammate right behind you?
I mean, what can I say? It's the first race for me in the championship, right? So for me, my mind, it was more on like enjoying the race, enjoying the fights. First time trying this way of doing the hit and then the sprint race. So I was not really thinking that much in, oh, let's make Drago great, let's make it look good. I was just like, let's enjoy the race, we prepare together, we race together. It was more like that, you know, and I was happy to see Ruby winning, and even we were working a bit with Mateo as well because he's our ex-teammate, and actually Mateo and me, we are together in the team championship for this championship. So you know, it was more about enjoying, and I did.
That's good to hear, of course, right? Because you guys run all these high-profile series, and I'd say this is still relatively high-profile, certainly considering we've got some 10K and 11K guys like you at the top of the field. But, you know, from the enjoyment aspect, right, you say you enjoyed the race. What do you think of the format now that you've been able to kind of see it play out, not just from hearing about it from your teammates, but physically live it out, race it out? And, you know, what do you think of the format?
The format is, I think it's more enjoyable than before. It's not like before the races were boring, but you know, 1 hour 20 race, it's like slower. You try to take care of the tires, of the fuel. You go longer, right? You go the longer strat, and like that, the sprint race, it was just crazy. The fights we were having, they were super enjoyable. And about the level, of course, like the level, it goes with the people that's driving on the series, right? And when we have all these Brazilian super fast people, all the Argentinians with the pink cars, and then us, you know, that's where the enjoy comes from, with fighting with the best drivers out there, right? So yeah, I think it was pretty good.
It is cool to have some of the best drivers, not just in the North American Racing League, but I think in sports car racing as a whole. On iRacing right now, some of the best in here. You guys are lighting it up, making a lot of fun to watch. So please do continue. It's been a lot of fun, Ricardo, and tonight was a fantastic evening of watching you guys fight. Hopefully we're talking to you and your teammates again soon.
Thank you. We'll be back, and thanks for streaming and putting the fire on the talking as always. Thank you. Have a good night.
Glad to be here. That's Ricardo Rico with the third place effort tonight. And hey, no Pro-Am drivers are connecting. Let's just go ahead and keep it in Pro. Then we'll bring in Nicholas Mateo. And I think this will be a fun guy to talk to because Nicholas, you used to be teammates with the 3 guys that finished ahead of you. And it sounds like for league purposes, you still are a teammate technically to Ricardo ahead. But obviously, you got that sprint race win. How daunting was it to line up for the feature and have everybody in front of you like that?
Well, hello guys. Well, basically in the first race I tried to make sure I just wanted to take the lead because I knew I had more pace. Yeah, in the second race was a bit more difficult because I was in P8, so a lot of cars behind and in front of me. I just took it easy on the start, and then I just was trying to overtake it slowly and safe to bring the car home, and yeah, that was my race.
If we had one more lap, do you think you could have passed Ricardo?
No, he's a really big guy, even on track, so it's hard to pass.
Fair enough. Well, hey, it's good to talk to you, and I'm glad that you and Ricardo are able to finally join the season now. And I know you guys had some previous arrangements and whatnot for the first handful of rounds, but it sounds like we have you guys for the final 4.
Yeah, I will be up for the next races as well.
Hey, it's good to see you, Nicholas, and congratulations, a big sprint race win and a solid effort here in the feature as well. Of the 3 tracks remaining, though, which one is your favorite between VIR, Road America, and Watkins Glen? They're all American tracks, and I think all very similar in that they kind of follow the lay of the land, but all still very different.
Probably no one. I don't like those tracks.
Oh, man, not even VIR? That's my home track here of those 3.
No, I don't like.
Well,
I don't blame you.
I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate the honesty, Nick. Hey, good to talk to you. Congratulations on a solid effort tonight.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate the honesty, even though I don't like his answer. I appreciate the candor there to just be honest. If he doesn't like the track, he doesn't like the track. We can't make him like it, right? But, man, that's unfortunate. Some great racetracks up ahead for these guys. Again, VIR, Road America, New York. I'll be honest. From a driver standpoint, I don't like Road America either. The other 2, though, I love them. Virginia, Watkins Glen, fantastic racetracks. I don't like racing at Road America personally. It's become a pretty solid track to broadcast, I'll admit. But I just something about it, man. It's like you drive for a mile, straight line, and then you stop and you turn. You drive for a quarter mile, you stop and you turn. You drive for 3/4 of a mile, you stop and you turn. A quarter mile, stop and turn. Like it's just so much. I don't know, not for me.
I haven't driven it too much yet, so I don't have too much of a say on Road America. Though, it's almost how VIR feels to me. I mean, you got 3 big straights, basically. A similar feeling to me, but to each their own, you know?
To each their own, that's exactly right. And, well, we've got some great racetracks coming up, but again, it would not be possible without the partners on the left side of your screen, Muradness, JS Consulting, Screw Compressor Service Incorporated, and Rocket Designs. And again, our partners here at Pitstop TV, Whiplash Simcams, MXWraps.com, ATVO, Murders Esports, CC's Business, the North American Racing League, Whiplash Creative, and TZO Designs. And while this is not in effect for this season of the North American Racing League, I want to talk about this briefly, because even if you're one of those NARL guys that watches our channel for other races, we certainly appreciate that, obviously. We hope you do. But we are starting something, actually, with other series. And I think we'll eventually bring this over to the North American Racing League, just not when we're in kind of the ending portion of the season. But this is from the BRB Racing League that we broadcasted on Tuesday, okay? We are starting a fantasy game with Whiplash Creative, that's my brand, and MX Wraps and TZO Designs. MX Wraps is putting up some prizes specifically for the BRB Racing League, but TZO Designs is actually putting up, for each of the 3 leagues we're starting this with, BRB on Tuesdays, NORA on Mondays, and ARN on Sundays. For each of those 3 series, the overall fantasy game winner will receive a die-cast stand, 3D printed, customized, well, no, I don't think customized technically, but 3D printed by TZO Designs. It basically looks like a racetrack. He has an Etsy link, we'll get that in later. You might have seen the ad earlier in the broadcast, actually. It looks like a little piece of racetrack, so if you want to see what I'm talking about, stay tuned. I'll play it immediately after we cut off voices here, and you can take a look at the product. I think it's really cool, and I think this is going to be straight up the alley of race car fans in general. It's kind of modeled to look like Daytona, so whether you are a NASCAR fan or a sports car fan or what have you, if you have die-cast cars, this is going to fit in that wheelhouse. It is right now set for 1/64th scale and 1/24th scale, but if there's interest, I'm sure he can scale it to any size cars. I know sports cars kind of come in like 1/18 and 1/43rd. I think he can work on those if there's demand. So, again, if you like the sound of the product, it's a stand that looks like a racetrack. It's got the banking, it's got the softball, the safer barrier, the catch fencing, all of it. It looks really cool. And this fantasy game, again, it's rolling out in the Pitstop TV Discord server. You can use that link that's on your screen to join the Discord server, and you can pick, it's free to play for any of these leagues we're doing it for. And the idea, again, is to bring it to NARL, but I want to inform everybody of this so they can start playing and get used to it before it potentially matters for the league that you run. So keep an eye on this. Again, Pitstop TV Discord. We're rolling this out now. for the BRE Racing League this past Tuesday, and this coming Sunday for ARN, and Monday for NORA, and so on and so forth. It's going to be a lot of fun to do. We do it on the NASCAR side, actually. I have a group that I've done it for back in like 2015. I started this and then took a while off and brought it back this year in the NASCAR thing, and we're having some fun. It's fun, Blue. That's the point. It's a whole bunch of fun. But speaking, go ahead.
I was saying I have a 118 model RB19 up on my shelf. I can use the track to put that on.
There you go. Well, speaking of fun, here's what's upcoming for us here at Pit Stop TV. We're kind of done for the week, and my sore throat is going to appreciate that. But when we break back out for next week's activities, we are out at Darlington Raceway on April the 13th. That should be fun for the NORA Retro Cup Series. So 2003 NASCAR Cup cars at Darlington Raceway should be just loads of fun. I really enjoy that combo. It's going to be exciting on Monday evening. And then Dover Motor Speedway for the BRB Sundance Pro Series in their second race of running here in season number 6 for them. And then look at that, Wednesday, some dirt racing back in. That'll be the Dirt Sprint Car Championship Series, 410 Sprint Cars at Lucas Oil Speedway, Wheatland, Missouri. Going to be a lot of fun. You can catch all these broadcasts and more all across social media. You can see the links down below. And Blue, I know it was a completely different ball game for you in terms of the league and all the drivers and such, but what do you think?
I mean, I gotta say your comment earlier about the Premier GT3 League is absolutely right. This was absolutely fantastic racing to watch throughout the whole time, honestly. I mean, don't get me wrong, the 40-minute race was a little bit calmer, but that's kind of what I was expecting going into it. You know, you see 20 minutes and you're like, oh, okay, rush, and you see 40, you're like, oh, I got almost an hour to pull this off. I got time. And even then, we still saw amazing fights scattered throughout the field from front to back. It was wonderful. Wonderful being here. It was a pleasure, honestly.
It was a whole bunch of fun here this evening, as per usual, and well, we're ready for VIR coming up next with the North American Racing League Pro side. Of course, Suzuka next week for the AMs. But that will do it for us this evening. That said, don't forget, we have to give out the North American Racing League Driver of the Day award, and that will go to the one, the only Blas Diaz, the number 55 car. He will end up going, let's see, what position was it? 29th to 12th. What is that? 17 spots from the start of the race to the end. That is a huge gain. So that I think is very deserving, just to deal with all that traffic, keep the car in one piece, and finish it out. Let's see, 3rd on the podium in Pro-Am. That's pretty big.
I mean, that's just a wonderful run. No doubt about it. That run is, I mean, it's the best I think we saw today. So, absolutely deserving Blas Diaz.
Well, thanks for watching here this evening. That will do it for us here from Suzuka. We'll catch you all next time here at Pit Stop TV, hopefully for the North American Racing League next week with the AM drivers right back here at this racetrack. Until then, we have great racing coming up. Of course, 3 other broadcasts between now and then, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Don't miss them. We hope to see you right back here at Pit Stop TV very soon.